before anyone talks about Big Papi getting into the Hall of Fame, the talk of baseball is Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens not getting into the Hall of Fame. So in the end, were you stunned that they went the entire 10 years?
I wasn't stunned, Dan. I was disappointed because I personally have voted for them all 10 years, and I'm of the opinion that they were two of the greatest players of their era. For all of the suspicion and speculation, and even probably some acknowledgement from their end, they never failed a test when it was illegal by baseball, and I just don't know how you have a Hall of Fame. A Hall of Fame is a museum; it's not a church, and you put them in, and if you have to explain why there was some taint to their accomplishments, put that in there. I mean, you can do that. It's a museum, and that surprised me a little bit. And the Hall didn't really want them in. I mean, go back to 2014, the Hall changed the rules, cut the eligibility period from 15 years to 10. Joe Morgan wrote a letter in 2017 to voters saying they didn't want the steroid people in. I mean, this was clear, even though they never took an official position, how they actually felt.
Then you bring in a first ballot Hall of Famer, a very popular player, especially for younger fans today who all know Big Papi. Are you happy for him getting in on the first ballot? And this was a guy that was eventually going to get in at some point.
It was, and there's kind of a special accomplishment for being a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's only 58 of them of the 268 players I think that are now in the Hall of Fame. So it does say something. And he had a little bit of PED question about himself as well, and his answer was very good on the Zoom call. He said, "Yeah, there was speculation about that, and then I never failed a test the rest of my career." So it was that reported survey testing in '03. So I think his accomplishment stood up well. A very popular player, a very affable player. Maybe that played into it. I mean, obviously Bonds and Clemens were never those guys. David Ortiz was, but what he meant to the city of Boston, and you go back to the marathon bombing and the role he played in kind of helping heal that. And he truly, this is a cliche in our business. We try to stay away from cliches, but he truly was a larger than life character in Boston.
Tampa's Gary Sheffield, very popular player here for Bay Area baseball fans. They would love to see it happen, but he gets to just over 40%, I believe, this year. With a couple of years left, is he even going to get close, you think?
I don't think so, Dan, and it's too bad. I mean, he literally held the same percentage this year as he did last year, 40.6%, which is hard to do because there's a different number of ballots, but he just never had the traction. And look, I mean, Gary, he only has a few homers over 500 and some other stats and some controversy early in his career, but baseball people, go ask a pitcher who the most feared hitter was when he was in the batter's box swinging his bat, and it's Gary Sheffield. And that guy belongs in the Hall of Fame. And yes, we are more partial to him because we know his story better, being that he's from Tampa, but he should be in there. There's a group of us who vote for him every year and wonder why no one else joins our little group, our little cabal here, but I don't think it's going to happen for Gary.
I think it was pretty neat for Rays fans to see Carl Crawford's name come up on the ballot, and unfortunately, he got the kind of the expected result this year. What did you think about Crawford's name being on there, just to even be mentioned in the balloting for the Hall of Fame?
You know what, Dan? That's a great point. That is an accomplishment to itself. There's only 30 players on the ballot this year. There's a screening committee that determines who gets on there. Carl Crawford made it a few years ago when Aubrey Huff's name was on the ballot. I had texted him and told him about it. And Aubrey Huff, Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. This, Mr. That, he literally asked me to take a picture and send it to him. He was going to get a frame to show his kids that he was on the ballot for the Hall of Fame. I haven't talked to Carl, but I'm sure Carl felt the same way. He was a really, really good player on some really, really bad teams for part of his career. He got to celebrate and be part of the '08 and 2010 teams, and then he moved on. But that should still be something Carl Crawford takes pride in.